Good day, class. This is our lesson number 3, Gestalt Principles in Design, Enhancing User Experience. So, for this part, we're going to explore 4 contents: the introduction, the key Gestalt principles, the explanation. Part 3 is the application, and 4 is the conclusion or the application of Gestalt to architecture. So, introduction to Gestalt principles. So, first, we discuss the origin of Gestalt theory. It was developed in the 1920s by German psychologists Max Vettermeyer, Kurt Kofka, and Wolfgang Kohler. The principles address how humans naturally perceive visual elements and organize them into cohesive groups or structures. So the meaning of Gestalt is basically the whole is other. That is the core concept of Gestalt theory. And also Gestalt means the sum of all of its parts, or more than emphasizes our perception. It's more than just the sum of individual parts, and the brain actively interprets and simplifies complex visual information. So there are many relevance to design, specifically for a graphic design. These principles enable designers to create visually intuitive and user-friendly interfaces by aligning designs with how users naturally perceive the world. Part 2 is key Gestalt principles explained. So, how do we perceive complex forms? So, our ability to identify complex configurations from simpler shapes or forms, enabling us to recognize complete images even from seemingly random shapes. One application for this is in the making of a graphic branding for a product, and that is like, let's say, a logo or a graphic presentation or packaging for so where shapes are combined to represent a larger concept. So this gets us through is called emergence. So instead of uh, as you can see in this image, instead of interpreting each blotch, those little blot on the screen, instead of interpreting each blotch separately, we immediately identify a Dalmatian from a collection of oddly shaped black blotches. So in other words, the Dalmatian emerges from the seemingly random scene. So if magpo-focus lang tayo rito sa mga blotch na to, parang wala siyang direct meaning or parang wala siyang shape na nire-represent. Pero pag zoom out mo yan, you can see the whole picture depicting a Dalmatian, breed of a dog breed. Also from here, as we look for uh, as we look to Unilever's logo, one manufacturing company. It's composed of several smaller shapes. As you can see, there is a bird, tomato, a leaf, a bee, carrot, and a flower, and many other uh, things inside the U stands for Unilever. So, but the letter U emerges from the combination of those smaller elements. Looking further, we see many smaller icons emerge from these abstract shapes. Yeah, that is what we call emergence, the first principle of Gestalt. Next is closure, or what we call reification. So basically, this is just filling the gaps. So as we human, a natural human predisposition to conceive or perceive complete shapes, even with missing elements. So by intuitively filling in the gaps to create coherent images. as we take a look at these examples. So basic shapes like square, circle, and triangle, even the lines are broken, they still compose a shape as long as they have a closure. Okay, like this circle, even it's a dotted line, as long as they have closure, they still depict shape. So take a look at this image. Your mind might automatically tell you what this football instead of a collection of pentagons. So if you just look at one side of it, it looks like an ordinary pentagon. Uh, and then if you view uh, away or far away, it will depict a football or soccer ball. That is because of what we call the principle of Gestalt closure or reification. So next, the third uh, principle of Gestalt is what we call common region, grouping within a defined areas. So elements within the same defined region are perceived as belonging together regardless of their individual characteristics. So like this one, we have a group of shape here, and we have a square encompassing all those smaller scales like that. So one example of this is yung mga apps natin sa cellphone. We usually group together those apps that has a common function like messaging. You group all the messaging apps, Viber, Messenger, uh, Discord, or anything that related to messaging. SMS, right? So social media, we group together those social media apps inside one folder. So that is one Gestalt rule, or what we call the common region. Next is continuity or continuation, following lines and paths. So basically, our preference for continuous lines and paths in visual designs as the human perception tends to follow lines and curves seamlessly. So as you can see these examples, there is this spiral line and this triangular straight lines, three triangular straight lines, and then some like a path of a snake, and then there's the two invisible lines above it. So our eyes move throughout an image based on the placement of the elements and the visual flow. The mind instructs the eyes to follow the easiest visual flow, even if the flow is interrupted by other elements or a difference in those elements. So parang even if the line is parang ano siya, putol-putol and parang magkakaiba yung weight nung yung object, yung shade or yung kapal ng object is ma it suggests a continuation or a direction. So para dito sa spiral mapapansin nyo is nauna siya nang galing doon sa faded objects papunta doon sa medyo darker object. So you can assume na doon sa line na yun is dito siya nag-start and then papunta siya doon sa loob. Also this one sa straight triangular lines. So yung face ng triangle is facing upward and then this one is going downward and this one is upward. So even the line is not moving, you can tell that it's going this direction and this direction because of the orientation of the triangle. And also this one, the path is it's like a zigzag. So even if it's not moving, you can tell the direction where it is going. And the object, even the object is not there, you can still depict that there is a line above it. There is a white line there. So that is the continuity or the continuation of the lines. It gives you direction or a movement of a somewhat static object. Next is proximity from the word itself. It's objects close together. Objects positioned close to one another are perceived as a group. irrespective of their inherent characteristics, influencing how we group related elements. So proximity. So how far or near one object to each other. So that's what we call proximity. We group closer together elements, separating them from those farther apart, like this one. Among these two, this one is not proximate to each other. So if we group them together near each other, so that is proximity. So we group together elements, separating them from those farther apart. Yeah. So this one is what we call one group, and this is one group. So because they are proximate to each other. Like this one, Girl Scout logo. As you can see, there are three profile of girls inside the logo, and they're the sim and that's the symbol. So they are proximate to each other. That's why they are grouped together, and they are uh, uh, form a logo, a symbol. So there are many other important principles in Gestalt. First is multi-stability perceptions, like a switching perception between adjacent images. You can encourage users to engage for longer periods. Number two is figure or ground organization. Organizing visual stimuli to foreground and background enhances content clarity and overall usability. Next is invariance recognition, fragrance or simplicity, similarity grouping, symmetry and order perception, and common trait association. So let's discuss it one by one. This is multi-stability, enhancing engagement through visual switching. So what is visual switching, or what we call switching interpretations? Multi-stability involves experiencing switching interpretations between multiple adjacent images, creating a dynamic visual experience. So why do we use this principle in our design or logo or anything graphic? So this is for prolonged user engagement. So this phenomenon encourages prolonged user engagement by continuously offering new perspectives and interpretation. Just like this one image, a very old multi-stability example. It's a image. This image is what they call the wife and the mother-in-law. So it's one image, like an abstract image, but it's a picture of a girl, a woman, a young woman, and an old woman. So if you can pause this video and take a look at this image, so you can visualize where is the young woman and the old woman. Okay, then you can comment if you found those two. Okay, like also this one, it's a drawing by Ludwig Wittgenstein in 1899. One example of multi-stability. It's a picture of a object. It's a duck and a rabbit. So can you find the duck and the rabbit? Okay. Next is figure ground theory, or enhancing visual clarity, foreground and background organization, organizing visual stimuli into distinct foreground and background elements. Like this image on the right, as you can see, there's a tree, the black profile, and also the negative space, or the one that is not used. So this depicts a like a lion, and this one is like a gorilla. Also, you can find some fish. There's a frog. What else? Birds. Yeah. So those are figure ground. So the black is the ground, the foreground, and the background is these figures, the gorilla, the lions. Yeah. So that is figure ground principle. Or sample from figure ground. So you can pause this video to look for those elements. Like this one, you can see the penguin and the what else? The man. This one, what you can see here. also here. So those are not only one object, but multiple uh, uh, object that you can find inside those images. Next is variance, shape recognition in context. Invariance focuses on recognizing shapes across different contexts. So how, no matter what the position of an object, like this, what is this object? Like a joystick. So it is arranged in many various positions and interpretations, like this one, like a sketch, and then this one, blurred or dotted objects. They are placed sideways, bottoms up, and some articulation in the position, but still you can still recognize what is that object. Like it's a Gestalt principle of imbalance explain how we perceive basic shapes as identical despite various transformations. So kahit anong uh, uh, position or deformation or transformation na gawin mo dyan, it's still a you can still recognize that particular object. So that was what we call the invariance. Next is called fragrance. It's just simplifying complex visuals. So like fragrance focuses on interpreting complex images in their simplest, most straightforward form. Like this one, the recycle logo, very familiar. Any product or almost any everyday product that you can find, there is this logo. So as you can see, there are arrowheads, three arrowheads or arrow-shaped object, simplified to a simpler graphic to depict or relay a message of recycling. So this principle influences the creation or streamlined and easily understandable visual content. Okay, like this one. This is the Olympic logo. So fragrance was applied in creation of the Olympic logo. Describes the human tendency to simplify complexity. So our environment constantly bombards our senses with stimuli, while we have limited attention and processing capacity to handle all the complexity. So fragrance helps us see order and regularity in the world of visual competition. Especially nowadays, some logos or most of the logos nowadays are created very simple or minimal in use of elements and colors. They prefer simplicity over complexity, and they prefer simpler colors rather than using gradients and other complex graphical representations. So similarity in user interface, guiding user interactions. So next is similarity. So we group together elements or shapes or objects based on their similarity. Like say this one, they are similar in shapes, even though they have different colors, they still group together because of their shapes. This one, they have different shape, but they have similar colors. So that is called grouped together according to their similarity. This one is they have different color, they have different shapes, but they are arranged in such a way they are like forming a line. So they group together and they are similar. So they this principle have or this object or arrangement has their similarity. So that's one Gestalt principle, similarity. Next is symmetry and order, enhancing approachability. So law of symmetry, balanced designs are interpreted as orderly and aesthetically pleasing. So we all know what symmetry looks like. They are symmetrical and asymmetrical. Symmetrical is when you uh, mirror object to one side. They have still the same elements uh, but just a mirrored version of it. While asymmetrical is when you mirror the object and they don't have the same elements, but they are the same. They have the same number or same color or same arrangement. That is asymmetrical. Okay. Symmetry and order. Common fate is grouping by shared motion. So perceiving group movement, elements moving in the same direction are perceived as a group. So what's this one example? One on the left is they have this direction. They have this what we call this arrowheads. So this one is going up, these two, and these three are going on the right. So they have the common fate over these three, and this one is for two. They have the same common fate. Also for these lines, balls. So this group is going this way, and this group is going this way. So this one have common fate, and this one is also have their common fate. So how do we apply it in graphic design? So this one is there are several arrangement of birds from this one and different shapes, but since they are facing and facing this, they are facing upward or is suggesting a motion that is going upward. They are sharing the common fate, which is going upward. Same with these fishes. See, different sizes, different arrangement, same, but they have the same direction. They are going up. So they shared a common fate. This principle refers to the human tendency to perceive visual elements moving in the same direction or in unison as group. So, ano man ang kailang size or kulay or any position or arrangement, as long as they shared a common direction, as they unity in movement, as they are grouped together, they shared a common fate. So as we review the seven major Gestalt principles, so how our minds organize visual information. First is proximity, how close objects are perceived as a group. Next is similarity. Similar objects are perceived as a group. Next is continuity. Elements on a line or curve are related. Next is closure. We complete missing parts, even they are broken or batted. Next is figure ground. We perceive objects in the foreground or background, just like this one, the FedEx logo. There's they put subtly arrowhead inside the between the E and the X. This one. Also common fate, objects moving together are perceived as a group. And lastly, symmetry and order, symmetrical and orderly elements are perceived as a group. So part 3, application of Gestalt principles in design. So improving clarity and understanding. So effective engagement relies on clarity, understanding how user interpret visual needs. To better identify engagement and satisfaction. So we use these principles to improve the clarity, to make it our design more clear and more easy to understand. So that's one. Let's say for in architecture, we can clarifying content connections, organizing elements according to similarity and proximity, clarify connection between disparate pieces of content, creating intuitive association. So we can use Gestalt principle by organizing things by according to their uses or function, purpose, or what you call this a uh, groups or function or information. Next is facilitating navigation, guiding user behavior. Effective application of Gestalt principle should drive user behavior in predictable ways, thereby aiding in navigation and reducing confusion on complex platforms. That is for example, for architecture, like in grocery, sa grocery tayo is we the products or the items being sold are arranged in a manner that they are similar. So the group or the staff, the grocery staff arrange those products according to their uses or function, and complementing products. Let's say bread, they sit next to yung sa palaman, di ba? Sa mga spreads. And sa mga gulay, they sit next to the fruits. So parang ganon. Meron siyang arrangement na sinusunod. Merong organization, merong process na uh, they give cue for us to engage on that process. Next is optimizing visual hierarchy, structuring information, applying principles like proximity and continuity creates a clear visual hierarchy, allowing users to absorb information in a structured manner. So let's say sa mga font weight, di ba? Pag nasusulat tayo ng mga graphical posters, kung ano yung mas malaking text, yun ang pinakamahalaga na yung pinakauna dapat makita ng observer. Then yung mga least important, let's say yung mga ah, ah, fine notes o fine prints, medyo maliit na part na lang yun kasi hindi siya ganun ah, ka-important. It is still important but visually, it's na pag in-apply natin yung hierarchy, it's the least important among those elements. So also, using Gestalt, we craft memorable designs. So iconic brands and logos, elements of emergence, closure, contribute to crafting iconic logos and brands. Diba? Ano yung mga famous logo na alam natin, di ba? Yung mga swoosh, di ba? Yung Nike. You have this swoosh, di ba? Ano pa? Yung mga Apple, di ba? Very recognizable because of the object itself. Apple. So, in conclusion, mastering visual perception, Gestalt principles serve as foundational tools that enable designers to create functional, appealing, and user-friendly digital experience in the context of architecture in user-friendly space experiences. So, yun na yun. Mas nag-guide tayo, mas nagiging simple yung ating mga processes na ginagawa, mas informative. It bridge user and space for deeper connection. Ano pa? And yeah, through intuitive interfaces. Expanding user visual understanding. Naunawa natin kung paano gumagana yung human cognition. Di ba? We use that to broaden our understanding of human condition and visual perception in an increasingly digital world. Diba? Ultimately, it leads to enhanced and more satisfying experiences for the users. So, that's the end of our lessons. Lesson for me for this particular lesson, the Gestalt Principles. And thank you for listening and see you on our next lesson.